I was raised Filipino, so I thought I knew all there was in the Filipino culture, as much as you can in America without being taught the language. But I didn't really learn what it was like to be raised Filipino until I met my grandma. My grandma is an old school Filipino woman. She's 70 plus years old right now. And the first time I met her was in the early 2000s. She flew from the Philippines. Okay. And then we stayed over at my tita's house a lot more when grandma came over when we were younger, because grandma could watch us while my parents went to work or whatever. But I learned so much about the Filipino culture from my grandma. I learned how Filipinos who don't speak very good English, how they pronounce words. And that, through my grandma, I was able to distinguish if a person was Filipino or not. And it's a lot with the P, right? P and F. I'll tell you a story one time. Grandma was still fresh here. Fresh out the fob, fresh out the boat. I remember one time I was getting ready to leave for work. And my grandma goes, "You packed your lunch?" What? What did grandma just say? What'd you say, grandma? You packed your lunch. I thought she was cursing at me, right? I thought she was saying something else. But I said, where did she learn that word? Is that word common in the Philippines, right? No, pack, you packed your lunch. I love my grandma. I love my grandma. Don't call her Lola. She hates being called Lola. I guess being called Lola to her makes her feel older than she is. Until you call her grandma. It's always been grandma for her growing up as kids. We always referred to her as grandma. And I don't know if this is like this with all Filipino older women, but she always made sure that you ate, right? First thing we wake up in the morning. You hungry? You like eat? What you like eat? What you like? I notice it with other Filipinos too who have a hard time speaking English, but they use like one word sentences and stuff like that. So, what you like eat? You hungry? You hungry now? I said, no, grandma, I'm not hungry. And then she gets mad, right? She gets upset. Why? You know, like eat? Oh, but when she does convince you to finally eat, right? My grandmother, I don't know if your grandmother did this, but she would make my plate for me, right? And I go, oh, that's nice of her. And she just piles mountains of rice on your plate, right? And then she puts the main dish, right? And by the time she brings your plate back, again, it's just a mountain of food. There's barely of the main dish there. And then, okay, it's like, oh man, I can't eat all this. So I just forced myself to eat the whole plate. And when I was done, she goes, you get more, you eat more. I said, no, grandma, I'm done. You know, like rice? Oh, grandma, I'm done. Why? Always questioning. It's like, it's my body, grandma. If I'm full, I'm full.